I'll be playing and singing and writing songs until nobody comes to see me play. It's what I was put here to do. I'm Tammy Rogers, and this is my Bluegrass Story. I am originally from East Tennessee. My parents were self-taught amateur musicians. As a matter of fact, my mom and dad met at the local radio station. My dad was playing in a local bluegrass band there in the Tennessee, Southwest Virginia area. So they would play that radio station on Saturday mornings, and my mom was a singer, so she would go down there and sing, and that's how their paths crossed. So they got married, and at the time they were only playing music, but that didn't last for very long because they had their first child, within the first year of marriage, and my dad had to get a real job at that point and, take care of his family. But they always played music and sang together. My dad bought a mandolin when I was about 5 and had me walk in and hand it to my mom and say, "Ain't it pretty, Mama?" So that was how I grew up. And my dad enrolled me in the school orchestra. I started playing and immediately just fell in love with the instrument. He pretty quickly showed me my first few fiddle tunes. He wasn't a fiddle player, but he knew enough about the instrument that he could show me Bull and Cabbage Down and Ragtime Annie. He started a little family band. My mom started playing bass, and just word of mouth, some local folks. Suddenly we were on stage and playing little shows locally. When I was about 12, he'd heard of this young banjo player over a couple towns away there in Arlington. We started playing together, and that was really an amazing opportunity because he was as serious about the banjo as I was about fiddle. And we would sit for hours and learn tunes and play tunes together, and his brother Curtis also played with us for a while, played mandolin. It was an amazing experience, and I look back now and it completely prepared me for what became, my life's work. This is John Hartford's fiddle, and it is amazing. Look at that wood. Isn't that incredible? It's gorgeous. Light as a feather. Some of these old things, they feel so good. They have so much life in them. And this one, lots of times I'll pick up fiddles that aren't mine, and they feel really uncomfortable, but this one feels really great. Sometimes old-timey fiddles will be either too bass heavy to my ear, or they'll be the other direction, but this one is really well balanced, and it just is so resonant. It's got not just volume, but it just really rings. And when I picked it up out of the case, it was already in kind of an old-time tuning, an open A tuning, which means the G's brought up to an A, the D's brought up to an E, then you have your A, and then the E string is brought down to a C sharp. So it automatically increases the natural resonance tremendously. You can just hear, it just keeps ringing. We crossed paths at the Station Inn there in Nashville, Tennessee, and fortunately he was already pretty ill, so I didn't get to have a long conversation with him. But what a remarkable man and talent. It's touching a part of history, and that's what's so great about places like, the Bluegrass Music Hall of Fame, to actually see these instruments and hold them in hand. It's a legacy.
Horses, bourbon, and the great outdoors. That's Kentucky. Original, majestic, and wide open. In one day, visit legendary distilleries, explore horse country, or put on your hiking shoes and get out there. This is Kentucky. Come see for yourself. Plan your road trip at KentuckyTourism.com.
Hey everybody, I'm Dan Tominski. My favorite magazine is Bluegrass Unlimited. It can be yours too.
Get your subscription to Bluegrass Unlimited, the monthly print publication of bluegrass music since 1966. Bluegrass Unlimited includes feature articles on bluegrass history and tradition, current artists and bands, and so much more. Subscribe today online at bluegrassunlimited.com. And if you subscribe today using code MyBluegrassStory, you'll save 15% of the regular subscription rate.
The Bluegrass Music Hall of Fame and Museum, located in beautiful Owensboro, Kentucky, is your destination for bluegrass music. With interactive exhibits, you'll learn about the early innovators of the music, like Bill Monroe and Flatt and Scruggs. But you'll also discover the artists of today who are following in their footsteps. But that's just the beginning. Experience the music behind the exhibits by playing music in our pick and parlor and by enjoying a live show in our beautiful theater. Appearing soon at the Hall of Fame, We Banjo 3 on March 18th, Rhonda Vincent on March 25th, Darren and Brooke Aldridge on April 23rd, Daly and Vincent on May 6th, and Dan Tominski on May 14th. Use the promo code on your screen to save on concert tickets at bluegrasshall.org. And when visiting the Bluegrass Music Hall of Fame and Museum, be sure to check out the exhibit highlighting the artists featured on the television show My Bluegrass Story. Plan your trip to Owensboro, Kentucky today and discover your bluegrass story. Learn more at bluegrasshall.org.
So I auditioned at SMU there in Dallas and won a full tuition, full ride to study classical violin. So I did that, went there, and it wasn't the right fit. It was so highly classical. The director, the orchestra director, was pretty cool. He knew I played other styles of music, and he actually gave my name to some guys that hired me to do some radio, recording bumpers and stuff. But my classical violin teacher was not really cool about it. He proceeded to tell me, commercial musicians are typically your third and fourth rate musicians. And I thought, it's time for me to leave here. And then I'd heard about this tiny place called Belmont College at the time that a friend of mine told me they have commercial music. And I thought, commercial music, that sounds like that'd be a great fit for me. I said, I'm going to Nashville. I got the opportunity to audition for Patty Loveless in August of 1990. So, much to my surprise, I won that job, went in and auditioned, had never played again with the drums, electric band, anything like that. And when we sang together, there was just something that clicked and something that worked. So it was an amazing opportunity, an amazing first job kind of in that world. And then my next job was with Trisha Yearwood, Georgia girl, not quite the Appalachians, but we got along really well and toured with her for about 15 months. And then I started getting called for sessions, lots and lots of session work. And there was also a lot of TV stuff going on in the mid-90s. So I did a lot of programs for CMT, TNN. And then I met some guys, and we started an indie label there. It was Kieran Kane, Kevin Welch, Harry Stinson, Mike Henderson, and myself. So that was called Dead Reckoning. So Mike Henderson called me up one day, and he and I'd worked together, back in the late 90s for the Dead Reckoning bunch. And out of the blue, just said, hey, he knew I'd grown up playing bluegrass, so he said, hey, you want to come over and play some bluegrass? And at that time, I hadn't played any in about 15 years, seriously. So I said, sure, yeah, I'll come over. That sounds like fun. Walked in, and there was a young fella there named Chris Stapleton. And as soon as he opened his mouth, I knew that this was something very unique and unexpected, completely unexpected.
That no one me can find.
And it just clicked. It was like lightning in a bottle. It really, really was. Very quickly, we were recording our rehearsal tapes, and they started getting passed around town, and they became very hot items for people to have a SteelDrivers, rehearsal CD burnt disc. A lot of the high school kids had them, and we knew we had something pretty special.
Back before this land was mine.
In the heart of bluegrass country, on the banks of the Ohio River, there's a place where healthcare is different, where it's woven into the very fabric of our local communities, where doctors practice more than medicine. They practice living. Here, everyone cares for the patient and treats them like a neighbor, because they are one. This place is called Owensboro Health, where a healthier community is what we do.
There's a city where a river of music flows, where you're invited to discover its deep roots in bluegrass music and heritage and harmonies converge. It's a community that's just like the music it's home to, welcoming and authentic. This is Owensboro, Kentucky. This is the bluegrass music capital of the world.
On June 22nd to 25th, 2022, ROMP Festival takes place in Owensboro, Kentucky. Produced by the Bluegrass Music Hall of Fame and Museum, ROMP features 4 days of music, camping, jamming, and much more. Immerse yourself in bluegrass music by experiencing live performances from over 25 artists. Plan your trip to ROMP Festival in Owensboro, Kentucky on June 22nd to 25th, 2022. More information about ROMP can be found at rompfest.com.
It's awesome to be here at the Bluegrass Music Hall of Fame. The SteelDrivers, we got to play here back a couple of years ago, and it was fantastic. It's a wonderful venue, great size. Sonically, it sounds great. So, it's an honor. It's an honor to be surrounded by all the history and people that we admire and that we've studied and loved their music for so many years. So it's just awesome.
I choose you every day in 100 different ways. I make the choice to stay. I could hit the open road and run my life away, but I choose you every day. I see lovers all around me, giving up and giving in. They decided it was over before it begins. Is it easier to stay, or is it easier to go? I don't have the answers, but there's one thing that I know. I choose you every day in 100 different ways. I make the choice to stay. I could hit the open road and run my life away, but I choose you every day. People wonder how we made it, how we even came this far. It's a wondrous thing to turn around and see where we are. It's a good thing love forgives, and it's a blessing love is blind. If you ask me how we made it, I'd say one day at a time, 'cause I choose you every day in 100 different ways. I make the choice to stay. I could hit the open road and run my life away, but I choose you every day. I choose you every day in 100 different ways. I make the choice to stay. I could hit the open road and run my life away, but I choose you every day. I said I could hit the open road and run my life away, but I choose you every day.
I decided to do I Choose You today because it's a real personal song for me. I wrote it with my good friend Tom Utes, and really thinking about my husband Jeff King when we wrote it. But I presented it to the band, the SteelDrivers, and the guys were up for trying it and seeing how it would work into the set. And I do remember the very first night that we played it out live. We started it, and by the second chorus, there was a couple standing there at the front of the stage, and they were standing a little bit closer together, and he had reached down to hold her hand during the song, and by the end of the song, the chorus repeats several times, and they were singing along. So I had an inkling that we had something pretty special on our hands after seeing that response the very first time we played it.
The Bluegrass Music Hall of Fame and Museum, located in beautiful Owensboro, Kentucky, is your destination for bluegrass music. With interactive exhibits, you'll learn about the early innovators of the music, like Bill Monroe and Flatt and Scruggs. But you'll also discover the artists of today who are following in their footsteps. But that's just the beginning. Experience the music behind the exhibits by playing music in our pick and parlor and by enjoying a live show in our beautiful theater. Appearing soon at the Hall of Fame, We Banjo 3 on March 18th, Rhonda Vincent on March 25th, Darren and Brooke Aldridge on April 23rd, Daly and Vincent on May 6th, and Dan Tominski on May 14th. Use the promo code on your screen to save on concert tickets at bluegrasshall.org. And when visiting the Bluegrass Music Hall of Fame and Museum, be sure to check out the exhibit highlighting the artists featured on the television show My Bluegrass Story. Plan your trip to Owensboro, Kentucky today and discover your bluegrass story. Learn more at bluegrasshall.org.
American Patriot Getaways has cabin rentals in Gatlinburg for any group size or budget. From a romantic studio for two to a 13-bedroom chalet, we can help you make memories any time of year. Break away from the everyday and take in the fresh mountain air from our cabin rentals in Gatlinburg and Pigeon Forge. Enjoy luxurious amenities like a steamy hot tub, exciting game room, breathtaking views, or even a private indoor pool. Find your favorite cabin rentals in Gatlinburg today.
My dad took me to the McKinney Bluegrass Festival. I didn't know it at the time because I was so young, but it's permanently imprinted in my brain. And to have seen that part of history, I'm so thankful. And the same night, I got to see Keith Whitley with Ralph Stanley, and I'm getting chills remembering that. I'm tearing up remembering that, because that music meant so much to me and still does. You don't have to just be from the Appalachians to get it, but it's that it reaches inside you, and it's a soul-touching thing. That's the only way that I can describe it. And that's what it did for me personally, and still does. I mean, I can be on stage and play a song that we've played 1,000 times, and there'll be a moment of just sublime, I don't know how to describe it other than transcendence, and it hits me all over again. And you look out and see people singing along, and you know that it's doing the same thing to them. You go to a festival and the artists are right there. They're not, kept backstage, or they're not, whisked in and out. Most of them come out to meet their fans still. Or they'll set up and sell their merchandise and be there to sign autographs. Good grief, I have seen Rhonda Vincent stand and sign for hours and meet every single person that wanted to meet her, rain or shine. And you don't get that in other types of music. It's so interconnected, and I think that's a big part of it.
I thought that you were sent from heaven. You had me floating on a cloud. But tonight
I still love the music, and I love to play. I don't really see any, retirement really in the horizon, so we'll keep playing and singing as long as people want to come hear us.
And it's a long way down. Oh, it's a long way down. So far down that it ain't got a bottom. Thought you had wings, but I guess you ain't got them. Fallen angel, don't look down. Ooh, it's a long way down.